Welcome back, everybody, to Aces 53. Normally, it's Ed Parcaut and myself. However, Ed is out not networking. He is out hiking and out in nature this week. I was just on a different event that was talking about networking, so you can see where my brain is today. So it'll just be me today. However, it is Thursday, so when I say that, in terms of your host, it'll be just me. But we do have a special guest who's going to be here today, who's actually been here once before. And why do we keep bringing him back? Because he's constantly doing new things. And when I say that is, there's a lot of people who are very successful doing one event or doing one thing in particular. But the whole reason that we have this joker coming back today is he's constantly evolving with what his mission is. So we'll see if you guys can figure out. Well, I guess it says in the title who it is, so I might as well freaking add you now if they're paying any attention to it. So we're bringing back Jim Morris. A little bit of history for if you weren't on the previous interviews with Jim. Jim and I have become friends. We met in 2023 through a third party, and that is both of our friends, Janine Driver. For anybody who doesn't know, Janine Driver absolutely changed my life back in 2021 when she gave me the first opportunity to speak at Brad Lee's event of all places. She gave up 15 minutes of her time to let me talk, and it changed the trajectory of my life in so many ways. I'll be forever grateful for her. But what happened is she called me up one day and she said, "Hey, I just got done talking to this event producer who he's from Boston." So he reached out to me because Janine is from Boston also. And on that conversation, I guess you said, Jim, that, hey, I'm looking for additional speakers. And so you reached out to Janine and Janine referred me also. Is that a fair assessment?
Okay. I wouldn't say refer. I would say demanded I get Brian Galke on that stage.
Again, then I owe Janine again for another time. But yeah, so it was Impact Effect 2023. Didn't really know who you were, but we had conversations because one of the things that you did that was really smart is you didn't just look for speakers and go, okay, their social media is here, I'll just hire them. You vetted everyone that was on stage, but what was really unique about your event was two other things, and that was you vetted everyone who bought a ticket, and a ticket wasn't a one-night affair. It was Impact Effect 23, the large event, but then you had 4 follow-up sessions that they could choose to attend as well. And that's what kind of piqued my curiosity. I'm like, oh, well, this is something different. I've never heard of anybody doing anything like that. Most people are like, buy a ticket for this, buy a ticket for this, buy a ticket for this. And so I really love the fact that you did that for Impact Effect. And I realize I'm talking a lot and I am going to let you talk in a minute, but I'm building you up. So stay with me. This is where Ed controls me, right? But that was 2023. Then you had so many crazy things going on in 2024. You were preparing for a TEDx talk. You were preparing for your second child to be born anytime. And your crazy butt said, well, I'm going to go ahead and throw the event again. And you and I had conversations where it was, you almost didn't do it. And I remember I was on the road in Florida, driving to an event, and you and I talked for like an hour and a half of the drive. And it was one of those that you said, I know I probably shouldn't do this, but if my goal is to really impact the community around me and I don't do it, how many people am I letting down? So literally for people who are like, oh, it's not a big deal. He has a TEDx talk and he's got a kid on the way. No, the next day after the event was his TEDx talk, not a week later, not a few days later. His event was on, let's just say it was Wednesday, and his TEDx talk was Thursday morning at 9 a.m. So that's why I say you're a bit crazy with what you're doing, but that's the entire reason why you're back today. Is I want you to explain to people what's the new evolution of what you're doing, and tell them about Impact Effect and community and all the stuff, all the things.
Sounds good, brother. I appreciate you, Ryan. When folks talk about connection, they talk about deep human connection and collaboration and partnership. I think we live in a world where that can get convoluted and people can have different definitions. But there's one thing about Brian Galke is he is people first and he is about deep human connection. So that's why I just love you, brother. And I'm just so grateful to call you a friend. I'm grateful to have that hour and a half conversation with you on the ride to Florida. I'm grateful to check in and ask you what you're doing at the end of the month and if you're going to be in Dallas, because I'm going to be in Dallas. So just thank you. Thank you so much for being just an amplifier of Jim Morris and an amplifier of my brand, my brain, and just a strategic friend in so many different ways. You said I was a little crazy, and I couldn't agree more. I used to not think that until, I got married, and my wife and I were sitting down and reflecting and talking about dreams, talking about where we wanted to go in the future, and realizing that in 2023, I threw that conference, and we just had our first child, and we just had a new marriage, and we were doing all these things, and then what comes out of that is a mastermind, and that was the first time I threw a mastermind, and then a coaching program, and then intimate dinners and small events. And ultimately, everything that I've done and the TEDx talk around deep human connection has really been centered around community. And at my human design, if anybody's familiar with human design, I'm a projector. So I shine the light on things, and I naturally look to make things better and protect others. So when I think about the craziness, I actually think about all the folks who have gone to an event, to a mastermind, all the folks who are joining all these free communities that are just a marketing tool to get your information and sell you things, right? And I think about that and I say, what can I shine the light on today to amplify, similar to how Brian Galke amplifies me as a friend, and do it a little bit better, do it a little bit different, and ultimately come into everything that I touch with a level of positive impact and disruption. So when I think about 2023 in the conference, and then I think about all the things that happened in 2024 and the follow-up events, and almost losing my wife and losing 2 children after our first, and $100,000 in a real estate investment, and coming off $112,000 loss in the conference, I think back and I say, okay, what's Jim's dream? What's Jim been talking about? What's Jim been analyzing for years? And where does his passion lie? And I believe that what I always end up landing on is positive impact. And how can I do that? And how can I do it at a level with love, care, and actually showing up for the audience, not just my wallet or my pocket? And I now am in a place where, we were going to launch an app, a digital app, to have the community stay in touch and connect. And I lose a business partner. Then I move through that situation and realize that I can still amplify, and I need to even more, because the word community is being burnt out, and it's not actually what I believe true community is. So when I shine the light on it and I say, ooh, that's a little dark, how can I brighten it up? And we put together this customized app, which is a real true community. At the end of the day, it starts with deep human connection, which is what I study and have been studying for a few years. It's what my TEDx talk was on. But ultimately, I just want to be the resource that I never had when I started off in early entrepreneurship, right? I had a business partner who was one of the smartest people in the world and gave up on it because we didn't have the resources. And I'm just the crazy guy, right? We said it 100 times already. That just kind of kept going and kept trying to figure it out. And as I sit on some of the mountaintops and share some of the valleys and the lows, I think about that gentleman, and I think about how I'd want to share all of those emotions and all those situations and scenarios with that person. And I can't. And the only reason why is because we didn't have community when I started my first business. We didn't have resources when I started my first business. When it was lonely, we didn't have anybody to go to or talk to because we were so new in it. And as I level up and move through life and make new connections and bring in new revenues and, crush different types of goals and charts and get on, top 20 podcasts and hang out more with amazing folks like Brian Galke and his inner circle, I tend to realize that nothing actually changes. You still need community. You still need resource, and you still need people to go about it in the same lane, because entrepreneurship, business ownership, it is really unique. When people say, you're a different breed, I wholeheartedly believe that, because at the end of the day, this is a roller coaster of emotion. This is an up and down. This is a level of responsibility with no safety net. And when you build a team and when you build out a community, you have people that rely on you. So I sit here today saying, yes, I've struggled. Yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I was drinking too much at one point and had to turn to sobriety. But through all that journey, through all of that craziness, something beautiful has happened. And what that is a community of people that are looking to level up, accomplish goals, and not do it alone. Because at Impact Effect Community, we ultimately welcome you and embrace you with open arms. And we want to create and will create and continue to build a safe place for you to share the truth and share the challenges, but also have a level of synergy to celebrate and truly, truly live in that level of abundance, whether it's you or a new member or an old friend that's in the community. How do we all love on each other and how do we rise together? So that is why Impact Effect Community is living and breathing in our own app here today. And I'm just so excited about it because it's been 5 years in the making. And I am not someone who's doing this for leads or utilizing it as a marketing source. This is my dream. This is my passion. This is my purpose. And I'm just excited because I'm pouring it all out, baby. I am pouring it all out. Let's go.
So that's one of the things I was going to bring up is people may not have been listening, but you dropped a lot in there that's not positive. And that's one of the things I appreciate is the level of you're willing to what I call share the shit. Because most people are like, oh, look how successful I am. Oh, this is how I won today. Oh, look, I did all these great things. And you've put out very sincere posts about the struggles you've been through. So for anybody who wasn't really paying attention when he was talking, almost lost his wife, lost a tremendous amount of money on deals, didn't make money on the first conference and still went forward with the second one. Right. And one of the things that you did in 2023 with the first one was you could have canceled, right? Because at one point we were talking, you're just like, I'm not getting enough tickets in. And instead of doing that, and that's pretty common, and I can say that you and I were talking before we went live today, I was supposed to speak in an event in 2 days that canceled a week ago. And they said, we just didn't sell enough tickets. What you did is when you're like, tickets are low, you went within the Nashville community and you knocked doors and made phone calls yourself to businesses, to other places, to just say, I believe in this so strongly, I'm not willing to give up. And that's something that makes you unique and rare. And to the point, you weren't selling $5,000 tickets, right? They weren't 10, 20,000, all this kind of stuff. Like you were selling tickets to help get people into the room, but it wasn't a funnel to get them into your $75,000 a year mastermind or anything like that. You were trying to create the impact within the community that you live in. And you could have easily folded so many different times. And, you shared this on a previous podcast. You took a loss on the first event. So why would someone go forward and do another one in 2024?
Because if I give up on my dreams, then I'm setting an example for my children to give up on theirs. And you can probably hear it in my voice and see it in my eyes that I struggle with that. I struggle with setting the wrong example for my children. And I don't want to be the dad. I don't want to be the friend. I don't want to be the coach. I don't want to be the community leader. I don't want to be the charity partner. Like, I don't want to be all that and live a fake life and act like I'm following my dreams, right? Because at the end of the day, I know one thing about Jim Morris. He's not really good at bullshitting, and he wants to tell the truth, and he wants to show up as himself and feel good in his own skin and love what he sees in the mirror. And if I don't love what I see in the mirror because I've given up on my dreams, it's because I've set the wrong example for my children in the future. And I don't take that lightly because I'm someone that never thought he'd get married. I'm someone that was broken for a long time. You could call me narcissistic at a point. You could call me an alcoholic at a point. You could call me anything you wanted. Mm-hmm. Because I probably was that at some point in time. But at the end of the day, how do I prevail? How do I get out of that? And how do I set the example, knowing that I've owned that and I still love that person because that person made the decision to make the change one day of how I show up and what I see in the mirror now when I look at myself.
That's awesome.
You were in the crowd. You supported me at my TEDx talk, brother. And I was telling this to Justin Mosley last night, Dr. Justin, when we hung out. I said there's two people in the crowd that allowed me to energize and calm down and cool down at the same time. And it was Brian Galke's face in the front row, and it was Dr. Justin's face in the front row. So when I think about all those things, and I think about my life and my struggles and where I'm at and where my revenue's at now and where my, I just started another company, a marketing company with my wife, and we're crushing it and things are amazing. And I'm speaking still, and I'm prioritizing family, and I'm prioritizing community. I think about all those things that never would have happened without someone, without a friend, without an acquaintance, without someone who understands the craziness of entrepreneurship and the craziness that goes on in Jim Morris's mind when he ideates and when he's energized and when he speaks. And I would never have that without a community. So I cannot give up on my dreams, knowing that the pain of regret is astronomical to the pain of going through year 2 of a conference during an election year, without a big budget, with a little bit of debt still from the first conference, losing that 100,000, having a kid any day, any moment, right? Like all these things to me, because I'm living in my purpose, I'm living in my passion, and I believe so much in community, all those things wouldn't have happened without people and without someone to go to when I was feeling lonely, right? We don't want to talk about the ultimate level of loneliness because we know where that leads to no heartbeat, but I've almost been there, man. And I stand here today excited with a family I never thought I'd have, with 2 amazing children, a 5-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. Like right before this, I'm working in my house in my own my daughter and kissing her and grabbing the baby blanket for my son and talking to my wife about business. Like I never would have got here without people and without community. So I can't give up on that, and I won't give up on that. And that's my promise to every single member in the community and to everybody that I interact with is I'm standing here today because of that C word. And that C word means a lot more than me, than a lead, than a marketing play, or a bullshit online coaching container where I just dump in all my stuff and upsell you. Like I want to pour it all out for everybody. We've got an amazing partner in this business, and I'm ready to go to war. Nothing's stopping me, Brian Galke. Nothing's stopping me, baby.
So, all right, let's break down a few of those things because you gave us a lot right there, right? So for people who are listening, the first part going back to, you talked about you want to be able to look at your kids. And I just had this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. Kids don't listen to what you say, but they watch what you do. I remember growing up, my dad, amazing guy, he, so there's confusion because I'm a kid of divorce. Grew up with my stepdad and my mom. They're both my dads, right? And he worked for Montgomery Ward's, and he hated his job and he came home unhappy. But all you're told as a father and as a husband is be the provider. And so what did I do? I repeated that process when I got married is, oh, well, I got to be the provider. So I stayed at a job I freaking hated for so long because I was making good money, and I had 6 weeks of vacation, which is the same thing my dad used to say, and it was one of those things that we follow what we're raised with. So good for you for saying that part of the reason you wanted to change all this is to be the example for your kids. And if you don't want to talk business, kids are smart enough. We all knew which parents stayed together for the kids and they hated each other. And what are they teaching kids? That this is what a relationship is like. So kids are far more observant than we give them credit for. when we're doing things, and it's easy to justify, oh, we'll stay together for the kids, or I'll stay at this job because I have 6 weeks vacation, and then you don't even spend the 6 weeks with your kids. So good for you for doing that. That's number one. You talked a lot about community, but I'm going to go back to kind of a private conversation that you and I had. And that was the first thing that you had that you could say is community is you had a supportive spouse. Yes. Because you told me there was a time at the dinner table that you were there and you were thinking about, let's just take it all off. And she's like, what do we have to do to keep this going? That is such a rare and precious thing. That is, maybe you thought you were never going to be in a relationship, and no relationship is easy, but that's a moment where, you had a good pick in choosing your spouse, right? Because when you could have given up and it would have been easier and safer for her to say, yeah, let's just give up on it and walk away. Instead, she was like, what do we need to do? Get rid of our properties to help keep this going, right?
Yep. I mean, it's the number one life hack. I couldn't have gotten luckier. And at that dinner table at 10 o'clock at night, looking at, a $230,000 loss,
mm-hmm.
I wanted to bail. And she said, are you going to regret this? Is this really your dream? I said, yeah. And I'm going to tear up thinking about it because I'm putting myself back in that place. But like, that was the driving force to really allow me to understand this and play at a level that I'll never give up.
Right.
Like and to liquidate, and you got to remember, this is like we got married in June. This is in October.
Yeah.
So this is a new marriage. This is a new relationship. Like, I met Caitlin and married her 10 months later.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having a kid. Like, so to get to that level so early on, it's such a life hack. And I'm lucky because at the end of the day, I think I got some discernment and know how to pick the good ones, but nobody's perfect, man. And right. I didn't have a good track record for a long time, my brother.
We all think we have a good picker, and then time tells differently. But that to me was a very pivotal moment. I had a moment that was like that was not supportive. And it was that point I know probably not going to last.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing. And, people, and the reason I bring that up is you get kudos because you're the face of the event. And I know we're going to talk more about your community that you're building right now, but my favorite part of both 2023 and 2024 was you brought the family out and made a very, very big point of, if it wasn't for them, none of this would have been there. There's a lot of people who get up and they'll look at me, my name's on it, all this kind of stuff. And you never see the people who support them. Now, yes, people get up and say, hey, thank the volunteers, thank that. But you brought your family out and made a big point of, this today would not be here if it wasn't for the people that are on the stage with me. And that's just a very class act that I wish more people did. And I realize it's harder to do when your event isn't in your hometown, right? So I'm not attacking anyone who doesn't do that. It's just, that was one of those things that stood out to me. And using a similar example, I was just at Secret Knock with Greg Reed. And one of the things was his son was in a horrific accident 10 months ago, and they did not get a good prognosis. And somebody asked me yesterday, what was the favorite thing about Secret Knock? It was seeing a divorced husband and wife come together when a tragedy happened to the kid, and the freaking miracle of that kid up on stage that you wouldn't even known he was in the ICU, and they got very bad news 10 months ago. I think more people need to share the people that behind the scenes support them, not just the people that work for them, if that makes sense.
100% makes sense. 100%. At the end of the day, we can't do monumental movement like big things that create massive positive impact without a team, without a community, without people around us, right?
Yeah.
When I think it through and I really go back to a place where monumental things needed to happen to get it across the table, or a lot of negative things happened to where I was just like done, because at the end of the day, right, it is a roller coaster and it is emotional, and you do have people tell you things and don't do them. You do have people back out last minute because of whatever reason. You do have sponsors who tell you for 9 weeks straight they're going to give you a $50,000 sponsorship, and then say, you know what, we're not going to do that, right? Like, you go through those ups and downs, especially in an event when you're trying to get 500 or 100 people in a room, right? Or 5,000. I can only imagine. I'm not the guy who throws 5,000 person events. I don't know if I ever will be that person. I don't know if I want to be. But I do know that whatever size it is, if you put the audience first and you actually do the work and the things that are hard to be disruptive, to be unique, to shine the light on something great, but enhance it and make it greater, then it will all work out. And the reason why I say it will all work out is because, yeah, it was hard times coming off a loss. And I'll be very honest and candid with you, Brian, not that I haven't been so far, but I don't really share this because I can be perceived incorrectly. So I hope no one perceives it incorrectly, but I was winning for a long time, man. Like, if I really get honest with myself, it was a good run, like really good run. I mean, going into real estate and hitting that, and the first year making almost $500,000 and like doing all those deals. And then my first entrepreneurial venture, doing a little under $1 million in revenue with that business. And like, I was pivoting, I was consulting. I made 50 grand the first month I consulted, right? Like, all of those things were working well. And I come and I do something that I feel the most called to. I believe in the most. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I lost money. But what I've realized since then is, look what we're doing right now. It's a reason why we're having this conversation. And that reason is because I did that event. I met Brian Galke. I met a friend, Janine Driver, another amazing human being, who's coaching me up for free during my TEDx and amping me up and taking calls and, leveraging the body language and the micro express, like all of it. And I think back and it's like, would I have survived that TED Talk without a Brian Galke, without a Janine Driver? I don't know. But that loss financially was not a loss for Jim Morris. And when I realized that, and that's what the real lesson here is going, let's reframe this and let's get very detailed around the reflection of, financially it didn't work out, but I look at the people in my life and it's some of the closest people and the people that care and love on me the most. And that cannot have a price tag. Brian Galke's friendship does not have a price tag. Like, I couldn't even a zillion, billion, quadrillion dollars. Like I wouldn't sell this friendship for the most money in the world.
Hey, if somebody offers you that much, sell me out. I'm good. Well,
I'll clone you first, bro. I'll get an AI bot first.
AI, exactly. That's well, and so we were kind of trading off. For people who don't know, you launched a live community this week. That's the website here, impacteffectcommunity.com. And it was to carry on what you started with Impact Effect. And you guys get on every day in the morning. I think it's like 7 a.m. We're on your central time zone, right?
I'm waking up at 4, live by 6, baby.
Yeah, live at 6 Central. The reason I couldn't remember what time zone you're in is because I get you and Rachel confused sometimes. So she's in the Eastern time zone. But you guys go live every day. You're in the community. You have onboarding calls, not just here's your login and an email. You're literally bringing in, like, this is how the community is going to work for you. This is how you're going to gain from here. And you lay it out very clearly that, yes, will allow you in if you make it past a certain point. But if you're not here with the accountability and everything else, maybe you won't be here long term. And that's something that's vastly different from the market, because the market is like, hey, I just want monthly recurring revenue, AKA MRR. But that's not what you're pushing for. You're pushing for, I want the community that we can build and will grow, not just something you can join. Is that a fair way to say it?
It's very fair. At the end of the day, this has to fit what you need and when you need it. It's that simple. But we get convoluted in the sales process. We get convoluted with the revenue, the MRR. And I just don't operate that way. I used to.
Right.
But it doesn't serve the soul. And I don't want to be the person that pushes you into something you don't need. I've been that. That's happened to me multiple times. And yes, I should have better discernment, and it's on me. But at the end of the day, how am I going to show up best for you if I don't talk to you every month? Like
Mhm.
on the phone, we call everybody. I call them hey meetings, HAY. It's
Yeah.
a how are you?
Yeah.
And we can go life, we can go business, we can go problems, we can go solutions, we can go wherever you need to go. But I'm calling you and I'm talking to you because we're building the content around what our members actually need based on the feedback and based on how we've acquired that information. Another thing we're doing is we are onboarding you and asking you to take an assessment to understand a lot of what you teach, right? Are
Mhm.
you visual, auditory, kinesthetic? And we want to build content and curriculum around that so that way you can receive it in the best way possible and live in your strengths and not get into something that's just all templates or text when you want to hear a soundbite, right? Like I do
Yeah.
motivational bites every morning, which is just auditory. So you can put it in your ear, you can whatever. We do the
Mhm.
live so you can watch it if you're visual. We follow up with the templates and the strategies and the challenges, and we have the accountability pods so we can, get people into a group where they feel comfortable and aligned and are pushed because we all know when you're tired, when things aren't going well, you're not going to do the things that you know you need to do. Those are the hardest moments when the emotions are high and the discipline starts to cripple. But
Mhm.
if you have someone that you are responsible to do the thing, to show up for, that's when you're going to do it. And that thing that you do is going to allow you to grow and the collective community and the collective pod within the accountability programs. And I've seen it work. I've been a part of some amazing stuff. And I just want to bring everything I've learned in the last 5 years in my entire life into this community and really give people the opportunity to follow their dreams and grow at the level that they wished, wanted, and know they can. It's ultimately what it comes down to.
That's awesome. You did on Wednesday, was it Tuesday? Tuesday? When was the all day live? Tuesday. Is that right?
Tuesday. Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you also had this crazy idea. Let's do a kickoff. You invited people who spoke at your events. People are in your community there in the local Nashville area. And how long did that live go for?
We did 4.5 hours, took a break, did 2 hours, took a 30-minute break, and then did 5 hours straight.
Yeah. Just back and forth. Why do people want to be a part of this? What were the things? And so people know we weren't compensated to be there. So everyone that was on that they believe in what is being put together and what you're striving for. And I think that's important because people think, oh, I see this virtual summit, or I think something, oh, they're all paid to be there, or they're going to get, a percentage or whatever. And that's not. That's the relationships that you've built that are there that you said, hey, I want to take this to the next level. Will you help be a part of it? And everybody said yes. And that's a big thing. Look, there's a lot of people that get on stages, but it's because they're paid to be there. And then there's people who come and do events because they believe in the cause. And I think it's really reflectful of how many people were willing to come in and donate 30 minutes to an hour of their time for the launch of your community because they believe in where you're going with it.
It's it was one of those moments that hit me pretty hard that night when we wrapped it up. I actually realized that because actually everybody that spoke, I think we had like 15 people. Everybody wants to get back into the community and pour in more. Like
Right.
everybody was like, I'm so excited. I'll see y'all again soon. We're gonna like everybody wants to come in and do a subject matter expert webinar. So
Right.
when you ask someone to donate their time and to leverage their expertise and they come and they do the 15-30 minutes, I'm like, thank you so much, like I'm really so grateful. But then to get the text messages and the emails and the comments privately behind stage, and it's like everybody wants to come back and pour even more into this
Mhm.
community. That is magic.
Yeah.
And to your point, that doesn't come with just a paycheck to get on the stage. That comes with deep human connection. That comes with friendship. And that comes with, like you said, the cause. Does this align with me? And it is a cause that I can get in front of. And, pun intended, is this the impact that I want to be involved in and make? And every single one of those speakers said yes and want to come back again. And that to me blew me away, because I know how much people charge.
Right.
I know how much people's schedules are just jam-packed right now. I know some folks are relaunching some new product, or updating, or transitioning some of their programs. So like, I know that there's a lot going on in every one of those people's lives, including yours, Brian.
Mhm.
And y'all just showed up, showed out, and are going to come back and crush it again. Like, I don't know how to describe it, because it's a feeling that it's a feeling that will regurgitate inside our community for our members.
Right.
And I would rather hear how they describe it, because to me, it's a culmination of character. It's a culmination of alignment. I'm just so excited about it, man. I'm like, you get me antsy. I'm like,
Well,
my
okay, so
my
I'll phrase
legs
it.
twitching over here and
Yeah,
everything.
I'll phrase it in a different way, and that is, the one thing that we all are limited on is time. We don't know when it's going to be our day. So number one, you had people who were willing to give up time and come on. Number two, as a speaker, right, as a business owner, because you had a variety of people on there, they're tying their reputation to saying, I believe in Jim. And that's the real proof is in the pudding, is because people believe in what you're putting together, that they not only donated their time, but are willing to put their face and energy into it as well. Because we all know one bad deal can scar people for life. But instead, people have seen what you've done and know where you want to go, and are willing to say, I'm on board with helping him get there. And I think that's something more for you to ponder after this fact is, it wasn't just time, it's also reputation. Because we've all turned down things where the money was good and this one wasn't paid, but where there's money, but it's not the right crowd and can do more damage to your brand than can ever do. Like, there's times that you talk to any speaker that's out there, we've all had to turn down something because something either wasn't in alignment, or the ick factor is not something you want to get stuck with. And look at everybody. Yes, time is a precious resource for us all, but so is reputation. And that's the other thing, is people all got on there all day long to say, we believe in what you and producer Rachel are doing with it. And that's the other thing, is it's not just you, it's the alignment you have with someone else that also instills trust. And producer Rachel's awesome at that. It's the combination is, I think, what's also going to make it such a powerful community in there. So now we sound like we are a just an advertisement for your event. But the whole reason that we brought you in is Ed and I have been talking about, what are you going to do in 2025? And, go to events, or do you want to be part of a community? And that was the original reason we brought you in back today, is you've done both, and you may continue to do events. But what you saw as events are temporary excitement, but there's not long-term accountability. And that's where Ed and I have been preaching for a while, is get into a mastermind, get into a community. There's a lot of people out there that are just launching a community, but they're not telling you what's in the community. And that was one of the things that was really unique about what you're talking about, is if people are going to join something and pay a monthly fee or an annual fee or whatever they decide to do, they really need to dive in and say, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a guru who comes in, posts a video they recorded in their house, and then says, thanks for joining us this month? I just dropped one of those, because all they do is go, hey, the monthly Facebook message is out there. And it was talking at me instead of with me. Yep. So that it wasn't really about growth and accountability. It was about, how do they take in the masses and, get a few thousand people at $47 a month? They're killing it. And all he's got to do, it's a brilliant business model for him, is he's got to give one 30-minute talk a week, and he's charging all these people the money. But it's not accountability. It's not saying, what are the problems that this community has? And so I'll pop back up something that you mentioned earlier. This, I didn't even know you were doing, but the how are you check-ins, Great freaking idea. Versus just assuming what's going on in your community. So we do got to wrap up here because I've got another call here in a minute, but I'm going to pop this back up for you. So impact affect community. So yourself, producer Rachel, she was just on the call. She was on with us last week because we wanted to talk more about social media and what people need to be doing and branding. And that's one of the things is you're bringing in the business expertise. She's bringing in the social media expertise. And are the two things that have to come into make people successful this day and age, because AI can do a lot of things, but it can never replace people. So, having that combination, having the ability to be in a community where you have peers to learn from, as well as the leadership to learn from, is something I think everybody should get into. It doesn't matter if it's yours. It's just people need to find their clique, their circle. I just did a post about this with a different group I'm in that I do for free, and that's the social boardroom. And producer Rachel and some other people are in that, because the hardest thing about being a business owner is feeling alone, because a majority of people are 9-to-5ers. And I'm not anti 9-to-5er. I was one for 21 years. But it's a different world with different challenges and different problems. So people need to search for something like that. If they're interested, they've got it here, Impact Affect Community. Ed isn't here today to harass us. Love you, Ed. But Ed also does have very soon coming up, I think it's May, let me tell you what day is. May 3rd, Ed has the Operation Firewalk. For everybody who doesn't know, what he does is he put together this Firewalk that really helps veterans that have struggled with reintegrating into society with PTSD, things of that nature. So much like you're building the community there in Nashville for business owners and people who want to grow, Ed put together Operation Firewalk to help people as well. So veterans, you can know that you're not alone with what you're struggling with. Find people, find peers who understand where you are, and Operation Firewalk is something you should absolutely dig into. It's in Modesto, California. I hope that's right. Let me look at the website, make sure I'm not lying, because I know that's where Ed lives. But yeah, so it's going to be, let me see, board breaking. Yeah, I think it's there in Modesto. But check out the website. If you have ever been in service of our country, go and do it. See if you can make it out there. Talk to Ed. So it's Ed Parcaut, if you're following him on Instagram. But any parting thoughts for anything today, Jim?
The only parting thoughts that I want to leave people with today is, are you following your dreams?
It's a good question to ask. And to double down on what Ed said, I'm sorry, I'm so used to talking to Ed. To double down what Jim said, are you doing it just for you, or are you doing it for the other people? And you remember the thing he talked about earlier was he's doing this for his legacy, not just for Jim. And we need to focus on that a lot more. If you've listened to the show for any period of time, you've heard me talk about Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And what he found is we can accomplish so much more when we're doing it in service of others versus just ourselves. So that was a great thing, Jim, to focus on. Hey, where do we want to be? A great book I recommend, and I'm just going off on tangents now. I said I was going to end it, but read No More Mr. Nice Guy. If you don't realize the power of following your own dreams can help you with other people, read No More Mr. Nice Guy. Bad title for what it gives you, but it's a good book that everybody needs to read. So, Jim, thank you once again for joining us. You're coming back as today's Joker, and I hope to see you soon. Unfortunately, I won't see you when you're here in Dallas, but I did set you up with some other people. And for everybody else, Ed and I are here every Tuesday and Thursday with ACES 53. What does ACES stand for? Attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile. What's 53? Well, there's 52 cards in the deck. The 53rd is a joker. That's like our guest today, Jim. That's somebody with a special skill, talent, or knowledge that we want to share with you. If you've got something to share, reach out to Ed or I, and we'll see about adding you on here. And the best way to support us, share this with other people. So, Jim, thank you for your time today. For everybody else, once again, check out Operation Firewalk. Help out Ed to help other veterans. There's a lot of people who did a lot of things for us that this is an easy way to give back, is just make them aware of events like this that can help them. So once again, everybody, thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you back next week. Bye, everybody.